Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well. In vino veritas, right? There is sometimes I've been told that when I consume some adult beverages, I tend to say more than I want to say. And maybe this video is one of those videos. I have here, I don't usually make lists, or I never have a plan when I make a video. I'm spontaneous and I don't edit videos. I rarely edit a video when I say something stupid or I say it 3 times and I say, oh, you know what, I think it's too much. So in this case, I made a little list with 14 points about what I think that United States of America needs to change, or not necessarily needs to change, needs to look back at it and revisit these things that are considered, it goes without saying, we all know is true. I think it's a historical fallacy. We always been doing like that, so it must be good. Not necessarily. Now, I usually, again, don't do this. Not usually. I never do this, actually. I don't really like to, how do you call that, hone my tooth or something, which is, bragging about my achievements or anything. But I wrote a few books, and you can find them on, or the girls on Amazon. And one of them is A Better Society We Should Create. It's a short book. Where I tried to identify some things that I don't think are working in the American society, and they could be changed and improved. And here is there's a few. It's 29 chapters, and I have to read this again because I've done it a long time ago. And I will try to revisit a few aspects in the U.S. society that I think it should be revisited or not reassessed. There are certain things that we just take them for granted. And obviously, I'm a foreigner. I come from a different society, different culture, kind of, with my personal likings and dislikings, or likes and dislikes. And certain things were very easy for me to say or question, like, why are these guys doing it that way? Wait a minute, I think that's wrong. Why can't you carry a gun in a governmental building if it's covered by the, Second Amendment or things? Why should you get fired for something that you say at work when free speech is granted by the First Amendment? Things that Americans are, it was not nice. I don't care, you know what I mean? It's the Constitution. And many others. So I have here 14 points that I would like to share and discuss with my fellow Americans. And not only, because all these things that I'm going to read here, one by one, and I'm going to discuss, could be implemented in any other society. I'm pretty sure any society has certain things, how should I put it, where the general population doesn't question anymore. For instance, why do we agree to drive at a certain speed limit? Have you been asked? That's one example. Why not no speed limits? When did we agree where we asked for certain things that simply I disagree with? And as a free person, I don't think I should be infringed because other people tell me. I know, the social contract. I'm sorry, I told you. Too much. Not too much, because I'm not swirling whatever my words. So let's start with the first point that I made here. Car insurance in the United States of America. I'm going to talk about the United States of America and Michigan. So car insurance. That is, you have to purchase mandatory. You buy a car, you have to purchase a insurance for your car from a company that does nothing, just waits for you to have an accident. If you have no accidents whatsoever, all those guys over there that you pay monthly, I don't know, 1,000, not 1,000. I'm not going to tell you how much I pay because I have a special car. But anyway, you pay just to be insured in case. Okay, so those guys are waiting and you're insured and nothing happens. And after 40 years, you paid, let's say you paid, $1,000 a year. After 40 years, you paid $40,000 after tax. That means you paid about at least 17, or let's say 70, or at least $60,000 with the tax for insurance that you never used. Can I get that money back after 40 years? Just ask your fellow Americans. I think that if you haven't had any accident for about 20 years, so 10 to 20 years, you paid, let's say, a year, $1,000 is $20,000. It's almost a new car. If you didn't have that, you should be reimbursed the $20,000. Don't you think so? I think it's just fair. There's nowhere in any car insurance policy where they would give you anything back if you didn't have an accident. So you give the money just to make sure in case you are covered. And then if that happens, if the accident happens, your monthly and yearly payment will increase. So why do I need you? This is like a loan. So again, I want my money back. That's the first one. The second one, speed limits. I think we should be allowed to drive at least on the freeway how fast we want. Now I know some people will say the weaklings of the society, oh I'm sorry, no, they're not the weaklings, the people responsible will tell the irresponsible, no, there will be a lot of accidents, let them die. That's the way we put aside the idiots versus the responsible. Oh no, but they get in an accident and they hit other people. How about I'm allowed to do what the fuck ever I want and drive whatever speed I want? I'm for it. I was never asked, what speed do I want as a speed limit? Never. Why? Because the elected officials did that for me. Without asking me. But I'm a free person. I disagree with that. I don't think we should have speed limits. We should have some speed limits in towns. Like schools, things like this. But the rest, drive how fast you want, my boy. You get an accident, so be it. Imagine as a meteor falls down and hits you in the head. Let's try to, take care of the meteors. So again, speed limits? No, I haven't been asked. I want to be asked. I don't want to drive your speed. I want to drive mine. And if I commit something, I should be responsible and held accountable for my actions. And so you. All right. The third one, health insurance. This is outraged thing. I'm going to tell you. They say that working for the government provides, or for the state, you are provided with the best benefits. All right, I will give you an example. You pay for health insurance about $400 a month, and you got $400. That's about $5,000 a year just to be insured. If you don't use it, that money is gone. You can't get it back. $5,000. Now, if you have a problem, you're going to have a co-payment. I think in a civilized society that we pretend to be, I think health insurance, if you work, it should be covered. You don't pay anything. Zero. No premium, nothing. That's how I feel it. Because if we're civilized, we should have health covered, right? No, if you work for a company, you're going to have this health insurance. If you work for other company, you're going to have this one. But you always pay. You always pay for your health insurance. What is this? My fellow Americans, it could be better. I don't have to pay anything for my health insurance because I live in a civilized, wealthy society. The communists did it. You can't do it? Well, the communists went bankrupt, not because of that. I'm just trying to defend stupid questions, okay? I think in a civilized society, I should have full coverage without paying squat. That's why we're civilized. That's why we're wealthy. That's why we're a beautiful, progressive society. But no, you pay thousands of dollars to do what? If you have a surgery in America, if you're not insured, just to give you my fellow globalists, if I am uninsured, and which is I have a job, but I don't have health insurance. If I have a surgery, something happens to me, and I have a surgery, I am dead for the rest of my life. A surgery could cost, I don't know, $150,000. And you have to pay it. With what exactly? $150,000 if you're not insured. What is this? This is robbery. That's what it is. Robbery. If you don't work, it's a different story. Why? No taxation without representation. You don't work and pay taxes, you not vote. You don't vote, stay the fuck out. There's plenty of jobs to find. All right, that gets me to the fourth one, taxes. No taxation without representation. Did you notice that these elected officials that we hire to represent us, they can raise the taxes, our taxes, whenever they feel like? Have you noticed that? We hire them so they can raise our taxes because of their incompetence. That's not why I voted for you. And that gets me to when I went to college here in the United States of America. And I had a political class, how do you call it? Political science class. And it was this old professor who used to be a campaign, whatever, of different individuals. Campaign director, how do you call it? Chief, whatever you call him. And he brought two opposite guys, Republican and Democrat. That's a farce. Two people, okay, for the same party. And they were talking how they're going to fix the problems of Lansing, Michigan. They were talking about the mayorship of Lansing. And it was one Brennero, a garbage, and another guy who was another guy. It doesn't really matter. And he invited over there and we asked questions. And my question was, how are you going to fix the problems? And he was talking around like a politician, which in a new political sphere was not saying squat. Nothing. And I said, so eventually you're going to raise taxes to fix the problems? And he said, yes. But why should I vote for you where any other baboon, at that time I didn't have the word baboon, any other imbecile can raise taxes and get the revenue and destroy a economic environment here. So basically, these guys can raise taxes and we cannot say anything. We're going to vote for another guy, he's going to raise taxes again. Let's say you have two candidates and both raise taxes. But what are you going to do? Where's the third option? Well, anyway, let's go to the next one. Property taxes. Property taxes. Have you ever wondered if you buy a beer, you pay taxes once, which is already too much. But anyway, you have to pay your dues for whatever. And then you don't pay again. If I have this, okay, and I use this much, I drink this much today, this much tomorrow, blah, 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 and I drink this in 5 years. I don't pay taxes for 5 years for what I own. But somehow the Americans are really relaxed with paying property taxes. No, I paid for the value of that. I understand. Some people say, you know what, you have to. You have the police, you have the sewage, you have the electricity, you have all these guys, all these things that are provided to you. What if I have a vacant land? I don't have sewage. I don't give a fuck about the police because I have a gun. Pop, 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 pop. I don't have electricity. I don't have anything. I don't have sewage. I don't have anything. Why should I pay? Again, No, I should not pay. And you know what's interesting? You don't have a party. If I go around and I ask imbeciles in my society, do you agree not to pay taxes for your property? I guarantee you they're going to have a big majority saying no. How come this is not implemented by our elected officials? How is it possible? They should represent our will, the will of the people, democracy, demos, right? The people. Next one. How come the elected officials, our employees, vote for their own salaries, money, and their benefits, health benefits and retirement benefits, but we, when we work in a company, we don't get to vote for that? Why is it so? I mean, remember, when you vote for someone to represent you, you vote for someone to do your job, the job for you. That's what you vote. They are not your leaders. Please switch this in your head. The elected officials are your public servants. What can I help you? What can I do for you? That's what they are, public servants. And these people vote for their own, how much money they make, what kind of health insurance they have. How is it possible? What benefits they have? They're our employees and they have better health insurance and salaries than we do. The people who hire them. That's imbecilic. Have you thought about that one? Next one. Guns. The Constitution clearly said in the Second Amendment that, the right to bear and carry guns and own guns should not be infringed. Okay, infringed. I want to carry a gun in a governmental building. You can't. Well, that's a policy. Is that in the Constitution? I can't carry a gun in a church. All these things should be voluntary decisions, not mandatory. If I want to carry in a church, I'm of bad taste, if you want to call me that way. But I should be allowed to carry it. The same, if I want to carry this in, let's say, in a social security building, or let's say in a police department, or in a mayorship, how do you call that? Always escapes me. Or in a governmental building, I should be allowed to carry my gun. That's my constitutional right. How about that? No. Why not? You don't wanna, you don't carry it. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I have no crimes, nothing. I should be allowed. All right? Don't allow yourselves to be ran by policies of, how do they call them in DHS, in CPS? Prevention. We prevent. With preventing, they can be in your bed preventing crime. You see, in order to prevent crime in a neighborhood, we have to plant in each household a police officer in your bed, preferably with your wife, to make sure there's no crime, preventing any crime from occurring. How far do you agree with preventing? I should be able to carry a gun in plain view or hidden in my ass wherever, including in schools, wherever I want. Preventing? You have no reason to suspect me of committing any crime. Some people commit crimes. The police commits crimes. The governmental officials commit crimes. So, we know with prevention, we're not going to do anything. So, I'm for carrying a gun every fucking way, even on my toilet. Sitting on a toilet and then, okay? All right, that's my right as a free human being, supposedly. All right, next one. Free speech at work. Free speech, this is the way, the Constitution is called the law of the land. So everything that's it's in a territory falls under the law of the land, the Constitution. The Constitution applies if you are in your basement, if you are in a second story, if you are in a hospital, if you are in a private company, if you are in school. That is the law. That is, if I have free speech and I go to work and I say, fuck you all, I think you're wrong, I think you're lazy, and I think Israel is taking our money, I shouldn't be fired for that. I should be protected. for free speech. But somehow, private companies are not supposed to follow the Constitution, which is on YouTube. If I say something that YouTube might not like and stamp it, whatever they want to stamp it, free speech, they could cut my free speech. Why? Now, in YouTube, or let's say you have Google, who is the parent of YouTube, they have elections, and tomorrow they say white people should not vote in whomever their policy because they're white. Can they do that? That's in the Constitution. No? Discrimination, your election, or let's say that women cannot vote. Would that be okay? Of course not. So if you infringe my free speech, why don't you infringe the right of women to vote? In your company, being private company. So that the argument that these guys make, it's a private company, that's their policy, goes to the garbage. Why? Constitution is the law of the land. In my books, I mean, I know you can interpret it however you want. If you want to keep your mouth shut at work, you keep it, but don't have me keep mine. Okay? You keep it. You be a baboon, you be a weasel, you be a vassal, you be a bottom feeder. You could be that how much you want, but don't make me be the same way you are. I'm not talking about you, because since you're here, that means you're not like that. Next one. Why do I need to jump through all these hoops the government set for me to own a gun? Why is the government telling me no automatic weapons? Why is the government telling me you can't have a magazine more than 5 rounds in it? Why is the government telling me that whenever you go over there you need to do this, you have to do this, you do this? Why? I don't owe you anything. There's 2 things that I agree to owe you. 1, criminal history. I obviously not agree with criminals with criminal history owning guns. So I'm okay with the run of their history. And the other one, mental health. I understand these 2. But beyond this, you're over. 0. You don't tell me what kind of weapon. If the police officer has a bazooka, I should have a bazooka. If they have an airplane, I should have an airplane. If the government has that, I should have it. Why? Otherwise, the government will be stronger than a law-abiding citizen. And it shouldn't be like that. Remember, I'm just challenging things that you think, what is this guy talking about? You don't want to have it? You don't need to. I want to have it. Why? Because the Constitution tells me I can. Right? There's enough answer for. You don't have to have it. You can be over there. An easy prey for the government. I don't want to be. And only for that, just because I can and the Constitution allows me. Do you know how the Bill of Rights was allowed to enter the U.S. Constitution? Do you know? It was not that the founding fathers said, let's get these imbeciles the Bill of Rights. And they gave us the 10 Bill of. It's not that they thought about it. They didn't think initially. They didn't want us to have the amendments. The amendments came after the Shea Rebellion. I think it was in Massachusetts. After the Shea Rebellion, the government took a shit and said, we should put a Bill of Rights. That's how it came into being. And we didn't have the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment. We didn't have them. They got scared because of the Shea Rebellion. SHY. Go and read about it. All right, next one. Indoctrination of our children in school. I think the school's job is, the government school job is, to teach our children to write, to read, percentages, to add, subtract, multiply, some historical dates, not interpretation. I don't want the government to teach my child how to think. I want the government to say, 4th of July, 1776. This is what happened. That's it. I don't want them to tell me, well, it was this was actually a communist revolution, and there was the rich people who did that from the Brits who Brits. I don't want the government to give the interpretation of events to my child. I don't want my government, the guys that I supposedly am in charge of, tell my child that global warming is a fact. I don't want them to tell me that. Or to tell my child with an impressionable mind. That's my job, to tell my child that there's a God over there, even though there's no God. But it's my job. It's not the government's job to tell my child there is a God or there is not a God. Or to tell my child that he has to yield to someone else or someone else. That's my job. I educate my child. I prepare my child for the society, for the world. Not the government. The government, if I allow the government to teach my child, as I said, to read, to write some dates in history without the interpretation, and that's about it. The rest is my job as a parent. You do a poor job as a parent, you suck as a parent, your child will be a loser. Clear? Clear. No? Okay. Next one. No taxation without representation. And that is no welfare programs as they are. That is, remember they said, well, one of the thing was the Boston Tea Massacre. Do you know how many people died in the Boston Tea Massacre? 4. I think it was 4 or 5. There was the massacre. These guys, we're gonna start a revolution about King George because of 5 people or 4 people gunned down by the Brits. That was one of the reasons. The other one, pushed by the elites that took over United States of America in the end, and they became the leaders. They became King George. They said, no taxation without representation. That is, the Brits will tax us, but we cannot send representatives to London to represent us over there and have our say. So we disagree with that. And I agree with that. So if you don't work, you don't pay taxes, you should not fucking vote. 0. Fuck off. You don't have a job? Sorry. Find one. There's many jobs that you can find. You want to vote? Go and work. No, stay over there. I don't have a job. I'm very familiar with the governmental welfare programs. Why? I worked in the system. I know how people say, where's my shit? You talking to the people at the window saying, you closed my benefits. You closed my shit. It's not your shit. This is like the people that are handicapped, that they have handicapped parking spots. This is a privilege. We, the normal people of society, the productive people of the society give you. It's a privilege. We can take it away. We give from our children to you because you are in dire straits now. It's not, where's my shit? You have no shit. Die. Go and find a job. You can find a job. There's jobs, enough jobs over there. It's the matter of, do I want to work for this amount or whether I don't want to work? If I stay home, I get this check. If I go to work, I get this check. Fuck that check. I'm going to take this check from you, from your taxes. You want to vote? You need to pay taxes. You don't pay taxes, you do not vote and have no health insurance. Now, we can help you as the government. Read my book. We can help you, the government. The people, not the government. The government is not having anything. The government has what we gave them. Unfortunately, it's the other way around now. We have to give them, otherwise they boom boom us. Get to prison. If you use welfare programs, you give back. You give back. It's not like it comes in and you just stay home. No, you give back. Otherwise, you and your family, bye-bye. I don't know. I don't care. You commit a crime, right there. You don't deserve to be in a society, that tells me. Anyway, let's move on. Election. Full voting rights. Not every baboon biped can vote. In order to vote, you have to know what you vote for. Remember Socrates and the storm analogy? Let's say you as a country, as a people, you are on a boat, on a ship, in a stormy water, not stormy shadow, or whatever, stormy Daniels. Not on stormy Daniels. You're in a stormy shadow, whatever it is, not the missiles. In a tempest. And who would you like to be the captain of the ship? The guy with the biggest dick? The guy who fucks the best? The most suave guy? The best good-looking guy? The guy who knows the most poetry? The guy who tells you about Socrates and philosophize? Or the guy who's the best in fucking dealing with the sea and with the maneuvering the ship? I want the guy who knows the best how to maneuver. He can be old, ugly, with no teeth, methamphetamine, rotten, I don't care, no dick, nothing. Could be a woman too. I want that person to be the best at what is doing. Got it? So again, the same with voting. When you vote, you don't vote for the prettiest doctor if you're sick. You go to the prettiest doctor, the handsomest, and knows nothing. You go to the best one. The same with these guys. When you make a decision to vote, you must know what you're voting for. That's tests. I want people to be tested in order, and I wrote about that in this book. I want people to be tested. And according to your knowledge on the government, on the system, on the issue, you are allowed to have 25% of a vote, maybe 50% of the vote, maybe 75% of a vote, or a full-fledged vote if you work. We can't allow any idiot to vote without knowing what's going on and how the government is working. And the issue at hand. They should not be allowed to vote. Not. Why? Because they nullify people who know what they're talking about, know what's at stake. They will nullify their vote. One of these baboons. No, you should not vote. No, you should not vote. I disagree with that. No mass vote. All right. What do we have here? Criminally charge election officials. This is the 13th. We got one more after this. You see, these guys, we elect them to do a job for us. You know? It's like we send our champion to solve our things. He doesn't do a good job, we send him out and we send another one, supposedly. But what if these guys that we send, they fail all the time, and their decisions in their failure, they destroy this country's future for about 55,000 generations. And let's say your children are screwed and our society is destroyed, but one of these guys who's not doing anything illegal, he's just incompetent. In the system, we're told, we have to work. That is, you vote him out of the office and you vote a better one. I disagree with that. The person who screwed up a country, 50,000 generations, and so on, that person should be criminally charged, convicted, and jailed, or even more if the garbage he did requires. That's how I see things. Why? If you are not having balls and you're an incompetent person, you should not be near a job in the government. Because I heard this justification for these Americans. Well, then nobody would like to be in charge because they're afraid. They should be afraid. They should be held accountable. All of them, with criminal charges, with prison, with pram, with all that. That's why the evil guy, Adolf, said, that's why when you have one Führer, one guy, and not a parliament, you know exactly who screwed up. And he's going to be held accountable. One. But you have a parliament. The parliament will always hide behind, which voted that way. It was the will of majority. Bye-bye. We screwed your country and your children and your grandchildren's future forever. You just vote us out of the office. And then we get jobs as CEOs and in the board of directors of Raytheon, Boeing, Goldman Sachs. We're okay. You and your children are not. Prosecuted, charged, convicted, and you know what I mean. All right. And the last one is referenda. If right now in the United States of America you would conduct a referendum, that is, guys, do you want same-sex marriage? Do you think it's going to pass? Yes or nay? I have never been asked. I have never been asked about it. Let's say tomorrow we're going to have a referendum asking me, do you want us to any person who illegally tries to enter the United States of America? Have I been asked? I haven't been. Do you want open borders? Have I been asked? I haven't been. I guarantee you, do I want to send any money to the criminal gang in charge of the Ukrainian nation? Not Ukrainians. Have I been asked? No, Emil, that's the way the system works. The system is wrong. That's why I'm saying, let's conduct referenda. That's more than one. Which important things, let the people say, not to the voting machine. I don't believe in the voting machines. Why? Computer programs could be altered based on whomever puts the information over there. I know that for a fact. Okay? So therefore, I don't believe in that. I want written, stamped, and if you put blood, it works better. You can always see that paper and retrieve it and look at it. Hey, that's Emil Baboon's signature with his blood and the stamp. With voting machine, whatever they print over there and they scan over there. I disagree with that. So my point is this. They don't allow us to have a referenda on important issues. Why is that? Because they lead us through these baboons' policies. They make the policies for us. And many issues. If tomorrow they would say, do you agree with transgenderism? I want you to conduct a referendum. And you're going to find out. Let's say, we should do this. It's the will of the people. This is direct democracy. In college in the United States of America, they already had the answer prepared for us, which is, you can't every day go and vote. That means nobody's going to work anymore. They will all be voting. No, fucker. We're not going to do that. We're going to conduct one referendum every 3 months. And we're going to put 2 or 3 issues. That's it. I think in 1 year you can solve 3, 6, 9 important issues in a country. And that day, so you're going to have 3 days off. So there's 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, let's say 3 months. You got 4. You're going to have 12 issues solved in 1 year. I don't think you need more than 4 referenda to figure out transgenderism, homosexuality, marriage, illegal entry, money to Israel, money to Ukraine. You don't need more than 4 referenda. 4 referenda, each with 3 issues. You solved the main things in America. But they don't allow you to do that. Why? Because they know you're going to vote exactly what they say it should be acceptable right now. And it was the 14th one. Okay, my friend, my fellow Americans, I'm a foreigner. I come from a fucking screwed up country. I come from a different view or different take on things. I came here and I see you so mild, so, how should I put it, so babooned by these guys who are not even sophisticated, telling you that you have the free media. There's no free media. These guys work for those guys. It's very easy to see the elected officials, political. You have 2 parties. You don't have 2 parties. You have 1 party with 2 names. You understand that? They don't work for you. They work for interest. I mean, it's so easy. And the problem is, I know, I'm a foreigner. I know the Native Americans, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about the Native Americans born here, the Anglo-Saxons, the guys who created this country, not this territory, this country. They will not like what I say because I criticize what they think is their country, and I'm okay with that. The problem you should ask yourself, the question should be, is he right or if he is wrong? If I'm right, just throw me to the dogs, but please change the policy, because what I'm talking about is in your interest and your children's interest. Forget about me. Imagine it came from your brain. Ignore me. I don't need any medals. I don't need any recognition, but you've been fucked, and you are going to be fucked if you think, oh no, this is America. My friends, these guys owned you more than the communists owned the so-called the communist bloc. Those guys were primitive. These guys are a little bit smarter, but the problem is they tell you, the Americans, you are educated, you have college degree, you're an educated person, you read Wall Street Journal every day, and New York Times, and Washington Post, you must be, and you have a college degree, a master degree, you're educated. Yes, I am, nobody propagandized me. This is the problem. You don't know much about it. You don't change the status quo because you don't understand it. You still have food in the refrigerator. You still have beer. You still have a job, and you're still extraordinary. You're not. These guys own you. Wake the fuck up. What did you say? All right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.